and it's gotten so you can't pretend. Your tears keep giving you away, but you pray for a better day. Why should I go through these changes? Yeah, but they don't dig the urgency. Yeah, that this is an emergency. Yeah, so make it hurt. Deliver the word.
Prince George's County, the DMV. This is Phil Lee, your host for the Official County Barbershop, where we do what we need to do. We say what we got to say the way it needs to be said. Always is good to have you all with us on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. With me tonight, as always, are my two co-hosts.
Nadir Nasheed.
Gene LeGrand.
And so tonight, of course, we've got a great show to bring you. With us in just a short while is going to be the Honorable Senator Anthony Muse. He is going to come on to give us some insight about where Prince George's County is headed to. Also, I do want to let you all know that the Maryland Vehicle Theft Prevention Council, which is one of our sponsors, they're going to be offering by way of us free air tags. Air tags are these for you all who are like me, who are community, who are technically challenged and out of touch. Air tags are a way to keep up with your vehicle should it be stolen. But also law enforcement, they're using air tags for those of us who may have senior citizens living at home, and we're concerned about some of them wandering off, as it does sometimes happen. But for the Vehicle Theft Prevention Council, with this air tag in your vehicle, it allows law enforcement to quickly recover your vehicle. So tonight, we're going to run the banner at the bottom of the screen. If you're interested, and we do have a limited amount, we will make arrangements for you to get one of these air tags at no cost. And of course, the Vehicle Theft Prevention Council wants to tell everybody, keep the keys in your pocket. Don't leave your car running and unattended. And you all stop leaving laptops sitting on your dashboard and then wonder why somebody broke in your car. So with that being said, we're going to cover a lot of things as we move over the next 2, 3, 6, 10 months. Last night, I attended our state's attorney's community forum, and there was a lot of great information in that townhouse forum that was given. One of the things that I talked about, and you're going to hear more from us, are those returning citizens. As you all know, if you've been keeping up with us, we are working on a project that we're calling The Other Side of the Wall. The returning citizen, it seems that people only focus on one part, and that's the part of them walking out of a facility. Then you say, oh, let's find them a job, let's find them a house, and let's find them. But what nobody gives any thought to are the mindset of the people that are affected. So you're going to hear more from us, I hope, a little later on. Gene is going to lead the discussion tonight with Senator Anthony Muse. They got a great topic that they're going to be bringing out to our audience. And we hope you will let people know what you heard. As always, I'm asking those who are returned citizens, if you will, Nadir, hopefully he will have more time later on to get into it. But we want to hear what you are thinking. We want your thoughts. We want your support. We want your involvement, because we're talking about you. So on that note, Shark Eyes, I'm going to turn the mic over to you and let everybody know where we're going today. Eugene, we can't hear you.
Introducing Senator Anthony Muse, the General Assembly. This is Eugene LeGrand, and we met at the Brave Boys announcement, and you made a great statement about the future of Prince George's County, and it resonated with me because that's how I already think. So when you said it, it was like, okay, I need to get you on here to discuss the exact same thing that I was thinking. And how do we see Prince George's County? How can we get there from where we are, since we're so subpar, and find out how do we come together with the right minds that's actually serious about doing this? So if you can introduce yourself and explain how we can change Prince George's County to a Mecca that could probably transition to other cities.
That's right. And let me say good evening to everyone who's on. I appreciate being here. It means a lot to me just to talk about this subject. I've been involved for about 25 years in in the legislature, trying our best to reclaim what we once had in the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which has never, ever been reduplicated in spite of the wealth of Black people in our country. That's what I want to talk about tonight.
That's definitely what we would like to hear. So how do you think, what do you think would be, based on where we are as a community, we've fallen a little bit. What would be the initial starting point besides getting heads together who are actually serious about this?
As I said earlier, when you look at where we were, and that's really kind of sad. 100 years ago, we had a Black Wall Street that we have never had since it was destroyed by racist white people, bombed and destroyed all the way around. We've never had another Black Wall Street, in spite of the fact that we've had Atlanta. We've had great Black enclaves like Atlanta and otherwise. What my friend Mayor Maynard Jackson did down there. And here we are in Prince George's County, which is now recognized as the richest, wealthiest Black district, not just in the United States, but in the world. And yet we still only get for our people 1% of the billions of dollars of contracts that come through our county. That's sad. Yes.
Senator Muse, it's always good seeing you.
Good to see you too.
I have got to ask the question, and they're gonna cut my mic. My two co-hosts always say I talk too much, but that's what people in this business do. Senator Muse, how do you have a county known as the most affluent African American county in the country, but we don't seem to control too much of any of it? So is it really our county, or are we kind of an offspring of sharecroppers here?
In all due respect and in all honesty, we have Black officials, but white people control our county.
I'm sorry, Senator Muse, but I really need you, and I got to tell you, I was listening to you at the state's attorney's announcement, and I almost went into shock because I said to people, this is the first time in this county that I've heard a Black politician stand up and tell the truth that Black people need to do more. So you got my ear as you did before, and I hope your colleagues are listening. I know they're not, because they're not allowed to. But go ahead, you got my attention.
But yes, that is true. We, in spite of all of the Black county executives, and even in spite of a Black governor, we've never had someone to come in and say, with the billions and billions of dollars that we give out in contracts, that you as white people won't control our county. I have no reservation about telling people I represent Black people. That's my first priority. And as such, we should not be a damn county where at least where we are giving away billions of dollars to the same people so that we can get 1% of those contracts. And not only do we only get 1%, but because they can come to most of our elected officials and say, I'll give you $500 for your campaign. So we sell our people out for $500 or $1,000. And for every person that sells out for $500, we have probably spent something like $100 million to give to somebody else.
But you know, Senator, I almost slipped because I almost wanted to say, you know, that old saying, the people say preach, but y'all got to remember, Senator Muse is a preacher, by the way, so we don't want to get him started.
Yes.
But
we do want to get him started.
Yes.
Senator, what we try to do here is we try to look for solutions. And yes. One of the things that I'm saying often and wherever I can, we do a whole lot of talking and don't do enough walking.
That's
Senator Muse, how do we go about changing this? How do we assist each other? How do we assist you? How do we assist your philosophy? What do we need to do to change this? Because, and I'm looking carefully at this county executive race right now.
Right.
And I'll let the audience hear me when I say it. Aisha Braveboy is a different kind of politician that the white folks who own this county, they do not want her here because they know what her intentions are. And so I'm saying to all of you, we cannot leave her hanging out there by herself. Senator Muse, you made that statement at an announcement with the media covering it. It did not, and of course you got in your preacher's mode, but that's okay. But if it is okay with you to do it,
right,
how do you get others to listen to what it is you're saying and do the same thing?
Well, the press.
Excuse me, Senator. Yes. Before you elaborate on what Mr. Lee just said, I just wanted to add: do you think we need to start with community-led initiatives or advocacy and policy changes just to collaborate with what the chief is saying?
Well, let me put it this way. Now, the press beat me up over saying I represent Black people.
Did they?
And the Washington Post and others tried to paint me up as being a racist. I am a Black man who's been through all of this crap and you know, for more than half of my life, almost all of my life. And number one, what we need to do is stop allowing white developers to pay $500 for our people to sell out. I agree with you on our state's attorney. She worked in my office. She worked hard to get things done, and she wasn't afraid of anything. Get people in who are not ashamed to say, damn it, I work for Black people, and I'm going to be sure. How can we in Prince George's County, with multi-billions of dollars being placed in white people's hands, how can we say we're representing them? It's only because we don't have many Black people with money to support Black, honest, and true politicians. And so for a little bit of shrimp and a dinner and $500, they sell us out. Now, I'll say this. I know it'll hit the press tomorrow, but I support Aisha Braveboy because I am certain that if there's ever a Black Wall Street to be created, it's through her.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Go ahead. I gotta say it.
Yes.
Preach on it. I gotta tell you. Go ahead and do it. Carry on.
It's not going to be through these other candidates who I happen to know and love them, but as a person, I know that they're going to simply get elected, be a figurehead, and then they are going to sell us out because they have no choice. And so I have been, and I didn't get on here to make an endorsement, but let me say it. I believe that our only person to do it is Aisha Brayboy, who has the fortitude to do it, the balls to do it, and that's the way we're going to get it done. Jack Johnson was the only one who tried to do it. And I don't care what people said about Jack Johnson. He could have been, had he not messed up, the Marion Barry of Prince George's County, but he's the one who fought them, which is why the system brought him down.
So, Senator, let me tell you this. I'm a product of the Marion. I'm from D.C.
Yes.
And I was a junior pretty much during the Marion Barry regime, but I was part of it. And I was talking to my colleagues, my two colleagues here today, about Marion Barry and Jack Johnson.
Right.
They were two people who were not afraid to write the check.
That's correct.
They simply were not afraid. They were not perfect, and they never claimed to be.
That's correct.
But Senator, that's why you have my attention, because I believe this. And at the barbershop, we can say do anything we want to here.
That's right.
I think that Prince George's County is ready for a change.
Correct.
In American history, as we know change, it never comes easy.
That's right.
It doesn't. But I too believe, and I've been her partner for almost 23, 24 years now. Aisha is going to push for that change. In fact, Senator, I want to ask you to expound on this philosophy. I think what we're getting ready to see is a movement. That is what I believe we're getting ready to witness. I think we're getting ready to see a movement because it's time for it. And that's you know, it's not just about an election.
No.
It's about change.
That's right.
And it's time for that change. So, Senator, I need for you to help. And I do ask, not just because you're a preacher, but I got to tell you, I was a product of the 60s, and prayer got us through a whole lot of hard times.
That's right. I was there. I was right there.
You know, prayer kind of made that nightstick on your head not hurt so bad.
That's right.
When you pray that pain away. Senator Kent, will you commit to being a part of this? And it's going to take a whole lot of us. It's not going to take us 4, 5, 10, 40, 100. Can we commit to supporting this effort for this change? What do we need to do? How do we get a hold of your colleagues who, I contend this, politicians in Prince George's County, they're so broke that you're right. For four strips of $5, they give it all away, man. They will.
They will
what
give
can we do?
They will give everything away. And what we have to start doing, and I'm committed to, is having the money for people with some backbone, like Edward Burroughs and others and I know him because he worked in my office for many years, as Aisha worked in my office. We have to raise money. We've got to tell people the honest to God truth that these other candidates aren't worth 10 cents. And get her elected. And I believe it was in Wall Street in Oklahoma, they may have had 3 miles of that, but we can have 100 miles of that. Just as Maynard Jackson, my friend who was the mayor of Georgia, of Atlanta, just as he did, we can do the same thing here. I am sick and tired of these white people controlling every cent that comes in. And my thing is that I intend and I will build a Black Wall Street in Prince George's County. And I've got the perfect partner with whom to get that accomplished.
Well, I would definitely like to say, Senator, that we would like to be a part of that.
Yes.
And also, is it a way to put liens on these old powers that want to control us and they don't even live in the county anymore? And then to leave that door open for small businesses to have funding available so they can grow their businesses?
Cut off their contracts and run them the hell out of here. That's what will do it. And I believe Aisha, I don't believe it, I know it for a fact. She will cut off contracts on day one. She will distribute the wealth where it ought to be distributed, run them out, and make many, many, many millionaires in Prince George's County. Now, what does this do? It means then that any of the Black people who are running for office, they now have a money base, a financial base that they don't have to give in to these white boys like the Chesley Company and the what's his name, the McMichaels Company. Run them the hell out of here and bring in our people and finance them and make them millionaires, as long as they have the right heart to know, if you don't do what you're going to do, we're going to kick your ass the hell out of here. That's it.
Is there enough information out there and resources for small businesses so they can grow?
We have to do that. We have to put money into publicizing that. We have to put money into letting people know. And I don't mean any harm, because I love everybody in this race, but I also know their history. They're going to get in there and do what everyone from except Jack Johnson is willing to do. They're going to get in there and they're going to, day one, fire these people and transfer billions and billions and billions of dollars in wealth.
So Senator Muse, we've touched on the commerce side of the economic side of it, but I contend we have a first fundamental problem here. You got a school system that is second to Baltimore City.
Oh, it has been for 40 years. How does that happen?
So how now we going to talk about this concept of a Black Wall Street when we don't educate our children? I got 33,000 truants in Prince George's County.
Because what we're going to do, we'll start with Prince George's County as the example. We're going to change all of this curriculum. See, the curriculum that we get is not the same curriculum that Montgomery County
That's
gets.
right. That's the truth.
Not. And we've got to scrap this curriculum, put our own curriculum in. I was talking to the governor and to our school board superintendent, and I said to our governor, if you get in here and you try that same old crap that everyone has promised, you're not only never going to become president, but we're going to kick you out after 2 years. That's what we have to do. Change the curriculum, give our students life skills, and no longer give them some certificate of accomplishment, which says then that our county has failed our children, but to get the money and to know they are not educated, we'll give them a certificate of completion. What the hell is that? With a certificate of completion, you can't go into service, you can't get a GED, you're not going to get a job, and we've got to be the county, because we are poised for that. We've got to be the county to make sure that this happens, so that across the nation and every Black enclave, this is done.
So, Senator, you You have a very successful, not only political career, but you are one of our outstanding and well-known clergy. Now, I'm going to try to be careful here because
Okay, go ahead.
I often get into fights with our preachers and pastors because our people, our culture takes us to churches on Sunday, not as much as they used to, and that troubles me also. But you are not the only pastor who knows and is saying the things that you were saying tonight. Why are we not hearing this? The churches and the fights I get into is because the churches have the biggest audience anybody could wish for. And it's quiet. Ain't a whole lot of music and dancing. It's quiet. Why are we not hearing this from that pulpit? Why are they not telling our people, listen to the things you just said? It relates to sharecropping. You farm 22 acres and you get a bushel of corn and a basket of tomatoes. It's no different than here. We have grown this county. We put our backbone in this county, and we only get 1%. Why are we not hearing this from, and I don't want to call them your colleagues because that wouldn't be fair to you.
No, it would not be fair to me.
Why do preachers not hearing this message?
They're not colleagues at all. What happens is that the larger a church becomes, the more they become dependent on government subsidies to continue to build. So some of our biggest churches, I don't even go to them to preach. I don't give a darn. But what they have done is sold out the people in order to get money and in order to prostitute the gospel in the name of getting money and being prostitutes of their people and not caring at all about them. I don't fellowship with them. I don't communicate with them. I don't need them. What I am doing is raising up pastors as the bishop of the Ark United Church of Christ. I don't control everything, but I have 389 pastors in the region across this state that I can say to them, if you do not get up and tell this as a part of the gospel, I will remove you from your pulpit and put somebody else in. Now, that doesn't make me popular with these so-called mega churches, but these mega churches are whoring the gospel just to get money. I refuse to do that.
The funny thing is, I had one of our most prominent pastors, probably the only one I really talked to, when I was a community leader, and I was a president of the Civic Credit and Civic Federation for 8 years. And that was 8 years when Jack was in office.
Right.
I met with him and he told me something. He said, preachers don't like talking about the problems in the community because if they talk about it, people will expect them to do something about it.
Right.
And if they can't fix it, then it gives the message that they're not in God's good grace.
Right.
That knocked me off of my feet.
I call them jackass preachers who are just there for the money and they don't care about people. I have had some terrible knocks, knocked down, messed up. I've had them try, and one time they were successful, taking my church by shutting down bank loans. But man, I started out preaching on a street corner, and I don't give a darn about what they do because I have people who follow me and who are with me. It's a shame that with their large pulpits is what they do.
So Senator, let me stay with Senator. Let's stay with Senator. If we talk about the need to take action.
Yes.
And again, I was in DC when Marion Barry turned it into Chocolate City.
Right.
I was there. I saw the Pennsylvania Avenue redevelopment. I saw him take that business away from those white folks who had been building and developing in DC for years.
Yeah.
Okay, he turned Pennsylvania Avenue into ours.
Right.
I was instrumental, as I said, as a community leader during Jack's administration. If you needed something for your community and you asked for it, the question was, what corner do you want me to drop it on? It was there.
That is correct.
So it can be done. But now I find that people are so afraid. People are simply afraid of following any elected official because, unfortunately, they don't seem to lead anywhere. They're leading everybody to the slaughterhouse, as the good book talks about. Senator, how do we change that? If we're talking about action, where do we start at if we're going to build the walls of a Black Wall Street? Where do we start?
We start with the election of the proper officials who we know are working for us and will get that done. That's where we have to start. And if we don't start there, it will never, ever happen. If we don't start with people like me, I control billions of dollars in this state that we can allocate one way or the other. But when they usurp all of that, then that becomes a problem. You know, they often say that it takes a good neighborhood to make a good county, and a good county to make a good state, and a good state to make a good nation. Trump is not our problem. Our Black elected officials are. And that's where we've got to start.
So I had a good idea, and you can chime in wherever, but we talk a lot about returning citizens. And so they come home and first thing they want to do is give people jobs.
Right.
There aren't any jobs, especially if it's a recession. You're not getting a job, right?
Right.
How do we start to create a lane for them to become business owners versus being employees?
Using government dollars like the white developers do, that Black developers will not let go of. That's what we have to do. Now, I have to run in a minute, but let me put it like this. I am determined that if there's no Black Wall Street anywhere in this nation, it will be in Prince George's County. So my money and my support is behind Aisha, because, and I don't have any problem with saying that, and people can call me any kind of son of or whatever they want. I believe that she has a chance of winning this. And when we do, we will be the next Black Atlanta that Maynard Jackson was able to put into motion, that nobody in this country has done since him.
Well, we definitely like to see that and be a part of that. So whenever you want to get that team together, we are ready.
Thank you.
So Senator, myself along with Gene, we was at one of Madam Brave Boy events the other night, and Ed Burrows and Waller Bigay was there. And the one thing that stood out with me, and I'm a longtime resident of PG County. There was no youth in there. There was no youth who we know for a fact can get the movement going because they're young and they vibrant. They just need to call. And so with your relationship with Ed Burrows, is that something that you guys talk about often?
Yes.
Because it's a must. It's gotta happen. We can't.
We
cannot do it. We cannot do much of what we're talking about if we don't have them on board.
And I spent my time mentoring. I've probably gotten 23 elected officials elected in this county out of my office. And the young people don't care, because their opinion is no matter what we do, we're not going to make it anyway. And we have to turn that trajectory around to let them know that we as older politicians are with them to get it done.
So I'm a returning citizen. I did over a decade in prison, and I know what it's like to come home and have to start all over from nothing. I was fortunate to have support. I was fortunate to still be in my latter years of 20 at the time.
Right.
I know firsthand experience that many of the people, such as what Gene had mentioned, many of us that come home from prison, we have the ability to run businesses. We have the ability to handle state contracts.
That's
and we also have the ability to motivate the youth based on our stories, because for me, I can give them the best of both worlds, what not to do and what to do.
Correct.
And so I, along with Mr. Lee, we definitely want to be involved in that next wave of making Prince George's County what they called it last night, gorgeous Prince George's County again.
Which we've been saying ever since Jack Johnson was elected, but we haven't done now. I'll close with this. I'm giving the rest of my life, no matter who opposes me, threatens me, or anything else, to make sure that before I close my eyes in death, we have a Wall Street that is a model for Black people that can be carried across this nation. So I say I'll come back and be on again, but I've enjoyed so much being on with you all. I really did. And I'd like to meet with y'all sometimes. Come down to my office in Annapolis. Let's meet and talk and outline a way and hear the way in which we can absolutely get this done.
Well, we're working on a proposal now, Senator. So don't tell us to come down to your office, because we definitely will pop up. We'll pop up on you.
Bring me what you have, and I promise I will work with you to get it done.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate
I
that.
love you all, my brothers and sisters. I love you all and all who are watching and tuned in. Let's get it done. I'm tired of singing "We Shall Overcome," and I want to sing "We Have Overcome," and that's going to happen in my lifetime.
And let me correct myself, because I did say PG County, and I was I was warned about saying Prince George's. So no disrespect to the community. I apologize for that.
No disrespect taken.
I appreciate you coming on.
You can't say gorgeous PG County. If you can say gorgeous, it's got to be Prince George's. We worked hard for that.
Okay, I'm working on that. Man, I appreciate the time. I can hear the fire in your voice, so we definitely want to align with you.
Let's go. Let's get it done.
Senator, thanks for coming on.
God bless you.
We hope to bring you back again. If we look like we weaken the knees and we need some of those words you got, we're going to send for you.
I'll be right there.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right. You all do the same. All right.
Gene, did he leave the green room?
Yeah, he's out.
So for our audience, you heard it. You didn't have to hear it from us. But I want to pick up here. Gene, what will a Black Wall Street look like? If we are able to pull this off. And audience, this ain't going to happen overnight. Don't y'all think y'all will wake up tomorrow morning and see signs outside that say Black Prince George's County? Gene, what will it look like?
You will have politicians, small businesses, big businesses, the community interacting where dollars are being spent between each other, and supporting an effort where it's one thought, one direction. And it's like he says, as long as we have those politicians behind us, because that's where the legality part is, but then having the funding, whether private funding, along with that the political money, we need people with that type of fire in leadership positions that are serious, that's real about it, and then start to find those developers after we've mapped out a plan. What is it going to look like? Do a feasibility study and see how it matches a sustainable living condition, and then we forge ahead.
You know, let me chime in real quick, Chief. We definitely gonna need infrastructure development. We're gonna need for our peoples to understand what digital equity involves, collaboration and collective actions, cross-sector partnerships, community-led initiatives, advocacy and policy changes. And if we listen to the senator, he's saying all that without breaking it down like that. So I believe that once we finish with our proposal, that when we present it to the senator and Madam Brave Boy, then we'll definitely be making inward roads into being a part of this transition of getting Prince George's County back to being gorgeous Prince George's.
So Gene, and I just listened to both of you all talk about the various components that need to be put in place. But even with the two of you, it's just me and what I do, I don't hear the emphasis on educating our children. Nadir, you did talk about youth involvement, but you heard what the senator said. Our children don't believe. I mean, I've had conversations with them in my groups. Our children are not angry. They just simply are not angry, which is a stark difference between my generation. We were an angry young people. Nadir, you are absolutely right. In the 60s, the older folks initially pushed back because they didn't want the young people to get involved because they didn't believe, one, they could control them, two, they didn't want to see them get hurt. But the young people said, y'all got to move out the way. We've got the energy, and we're tired of this, and we're not going to do the same thing that our parents did. If our schools are not a big part of this equation, Gene, how do you convince somebody to invest in a place that does not educate their children?
Well, once you start changing curriculum, like he said, then that'll be the first step. You change.
So Nadir, is that where we should start at? Should we show that we have that kind of understanding that the children are indeed our future? Everybody loves to say that. But if the future of Prince George's County is going to be a concept of Black Wall Street, the children have to have a part in it.
So here's my position, Chief. Changing the curriculum is way overdue. And even though we know it's way overdue, it's not going to happen overnight. And so this is the reason why I asked him about Ed Burrows, because we need someone like him to be out in the community. We got to start staging events where these people are. We can't expect them to come to where we want them to meet us at. We got to go where they are and give them the understanding that what you're doing right now, despite the curriculum in school, you can do something different. Obama won his first presidency behind more young people than older people.
That's right. That's
Why?
right.
Because that's who they targeted. They went at them. So that's what we have to do. We can't just sit back and expect for them to hear it through the media or social media and like they're gonna come get at us. Nah, we got to go where they at.
And I got to tell you, Nadir, I agree with you 100%. And for me, that has been an ongoing problem because for some reason, and I think, Gene, for some reason, those politicians, even some of those that I've supported, they have not seen the need, the necessity, the drive to bring young people on board. Now, I'll tell you, I think I know why. My gut tells me they don't want to bring young people on board because they know they're not educated. They know that they've not had the educational value. See, we did this when we had our group session. That word, that term, value. They don't want the young people to be involved in the deal because they know the truth. You have not educated these children.
I would even take it a little further than that, Chief. If they was educated, then that means this young person gonna move me out.
And that's another big part. And I gotta tell you, and Gene has told us that he is scheduled, Ed Burrows, for our audience. Council member Ed Burrows is coming on the show. I watched him go through that when he was the young school board member. Those older members did not want to give him the time of day. It didn't make sense to me. If you got somebody his age who's not that long out of school, why would you not listen to him? Because their fear was he would bring on more young folks and it would push them out of the way. Okay? We have to, and when Ed comes on, I'll tell you, Ed is one of the few, if not the only council person I know of, who has done what they say, put his money where his mouth is. He's probably got the most robust juvenile programs in this county as a direct result of being that council person. And so one would say, if he could do it, why can the rest of you all not do it? But the senator, I know the state's attorney, I know Ed Burrows, they think the same way you do, Nadir. Somehow you got to get these young people involved because you do have to change the curriculum. But when you move to change that curriculum, those children have to be willing and okay with the change. Because remember, and this is something that Carter G. Woodson warned us about, our children have been taught to learn the way white America wanted them to learn. Now you're going to tell them, throw that out the window, and we're going to help you, teach you, expect you to learn a different way. Gene, how do we go about making that happen?
We got to get in the room. We got to get in the room. Until we get in the room and actually start hammering away at what it is we're looking to achieve, map it out. What does it look like visually? And once we buy into it, what it looks like, then we can pass it along to everyone else, whether it's through bulletins around the state, around the county, and say, look, the future, the future, the future. And then they see something different from them. Because right now, you don't see anything positive, no positive billboards, nothing positive, because they don't want to trigger positivity. They want them to stay in that mindset that they're in right now. Right?
It's most
we have to get in them schools. We have to get in those colleges. We get in those middle schools and start elaborating on the same things that we talking about. The curriculum might take a couple of years to change, but if we start getting in there and getting at these kids, then we're gonna put them in position to be ready for when that curriculum do change.
Well, I want to say to the audience, the barbershop and those of us who are here who make this podcast possible, please know we don't just talk about it. We are doing our best to be about it. We are. And there are, in fact, you heard Brother Nadir allude to projects, things that we're looking at, things we want to be a part of. And you heard us let the senator know that if and how we can help, that's what we want to do. But we want you, audience, if you didn't have a way to get involved before, if you didn't know that you needed to get involved before, well, you know it now. You do. I want us to give sometime, Gene, this last 8 minutes or so, and I apologize, Nadir, but this kind of leads Nadir to what's near and dear to you. We want to work with the families of the returning citizens. A truth is, Nadir, we got too many locked up people that's returning. And so when we talk about educating, we talk about Gene turning things about, Nadir, we got to go to work on not only cutting down on the recidivist rate, but we got to stop these young people from getting locked up. That's that violation of that 13th Amendment that white folks want them to violate. What are we going to do here?
again, we got to get in those schools, Chief. We got to give them a reason as to why they shouldn't commit crimes. And it's going to take some resources that we don't have. And if the senator and our next county executive is serious about making these changes, we're going to have to host events periodically throughout the county. And I hate to say this, but it's kind of like tricking them to come to the events, because otherwise they'll just sit in the house and be like, I ain't going. Well, now we got to make it so special that they feel like they have to be there, and start educating them, just like back in the day, just like back in slavery. It was somebody over in the house where they didn't supposed to be educating people, but they was doing it because they knew how important it was. And it's kind of like what we got to do, because our people are so sleep today that we got to trick them into wanting to do better. But it starts with us getting out there.
Right.
We got to get from behind the mics, from behind the TV screens, and get out in the communities.
Tell me this, if y'all agree with this. The trade schools that we have now, those trade schools are giving us positions where you working with your hands, but we need a trade school that's focused on, that we can put in those middle schools, that's immediately start teaching the kids how to be entrepreneurs, a trade school for entrepreneurship versus being a plumber. They can do that, but we teaching them how to run businesses. They take them through the curriculum that you would take them through going through one of these major business schools, right? You're starting early, because just like the Asians, they start those kids at 3-4 years old. We need to start pipelining those kids, even if it's after school, where we're pipelining those kids through that program, so they're already starting to get involved in how to run a business, how to manage a business, and then getting the support from those county businesses to bring them in, show them how it works. If they're able to see it, because all they selling us is on W2 jobs. That's all they selling us on. They're not selling it, and if you can get it at all. 3 hours a week. Who cares about that? That's 3 hours a week. $45 in taxes, you get $20. That's crazy.
I think that the people of the county, the parents, and then those who don't even have children, they have to take that part of it, Gene, and take it to heart. In Prince George's County, when we talked some about, the Jack Johnson era and before, another thing that they did here, and it was intentional, but Nadir, you said it. We've been asleep. I call it the Rip Van Winkle syndrome. We just sat down beside the oak tree and been asleep. When development, and you think there's a lot of development now, 25 years ago, it was major development in the county. What the schools did simultaneously was they took those trade schools out of the curriculum. They literally took that out, and what they did, they played it on us. They said, oh, you all want your children to be doctors and lawyers and professionals. Okay, we agree. So we're going to take out all of the vocational training, and we went for it. Gene, I can almost guarantee you anecdotally, without knowing, that a lot of those guys who were 20 years old from West Virginia, who came here to help build these different subdivisions, I guarantee you a lot of them own their own construction company today. And they were educated enough to know how to make that happen and keep that happening. When I say to you, it's going to take both. You do need them learning how to be business people, but they have to learn that when they have the talents to create something, they need to know you cannot do that if you can't read, if you can't make a presentation, if you can't count your money, if you don't know how to invest in different things for your business, it's going to fail. It is going to fail. So please know this, for the audience, when we talk about the change of curriculum. Nadia, I don't, or Gene, whichever one, I don't totally disagree. I think, well, I guess it is changing the curriculum. I think they need to bring back these vocational schools. I think we have 2 of them now. Okay. But they're not vocational schools per se. They have vocational classes. Okay. When I was growing up, and it wasn't but 15, 20 years ago, in DC, we had vocational schools. All of the curriculum in that school was around that vocation. If you wanted to be a plumber, you had to learn math. You had to learn how to write a project. You had to learn how to draft. That's what you got when you came out of that school. You, Gene, it was what you're talking about. You were prepared to not only do the work, but you were trained on how to make that work your job, your career. But they took it away from us. We thought it was a good thing. This county frustrates me, and it is like Sleepy Hollow. Because these people and audience, listen, I apologize. Y'all throw bricks at me if that's what you choose to do. But in this county, too many of the people seem to go for anything. They took away your vocational schools, and then they started building, and all your child could do was get a job pushing a wheelbarrow. And having those children his age from West Virginia, Cumberland, Maryland, come here and tell him what to do in his community. He was making $7 an hour. They were making $17 an hour. Nobody seemed to have seen that. And it has not stopped. I took my time the other day. I was up on 301 looking at the new development coming up across from Wawa. Well, it's a little different, but you got Hispanics. I don't take anything away from them. I see the white people in the trucks, but I'm gonna tell you all something. You got to search real hard to find 10 black people. But we just finished a conversation about the most affluent African-American county in the county. But we still ain't building nothing. Building is it's a lot of money in it. The national debt, it looks at building, it looks at construction. This is no small thing. But we still don't get it. So yes, change comes hard and difficult. Nadia, I would say to you, I don't think we can afford to wait for funding because they ain't going to give it to you, first of all. Why would they give us funding to take something away from them? I think what we need to do is the way they did it in the old days. We got to catch these children wherever we can. Gene, we got to pretty much, our CPAC had no funding, but we kept a robust audience of clientele of children. It can be done. It can. But if you wait for them to give you funding so you can teach children to take away what is theirs, what they have, white folks ain't gonna never give it to you. It ain't gonna happen.
I didn't say that we had to wait for funding, Chief. I'm saying it's going to take funding for us to do what I would consider a tour of Prince George's County schools and engaging with the students and the families. It definitely don't have to take money for us to get out there and initially start doing what it is that we want to do. Because you're right, things move without money, but as we get bigger and it get wider, it's going to take funding.
Well, that part is true. I think, and Mr. Engineer Gene, my clock says 8 o'clock. Are we out?
We got 15 seconds.
To the audience, we're going to bring Senator Muse back. Next week, I think, Gene, is Ed Burrows what's coming in?
No, it'll be Waller again.
Waller again is coming back because of the technical difficulties. And Ed Burrows will be here. I think, audience, what you are seeing, my hope is the makings of a foundation or a movement It must take place. It is time. And I have to agree with Senator Muse. While I love the hymn, I'm tired of talking about we shall overcome. It's time to overcome. So Phil Lee from the barbershop in the DMV with my co-host,
Gene LeGrand.
Nadia Nasheed.
People, will see you all next week, Wednesday, 7 o'clock, back here in the barbershop. Gene, take us home.